Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Shodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnu Padaya Paramhamsa Parivragacharya Ashtatarashtata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu Padaya Paramhamsa Parivragacharya Ashtatarashtata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anta Kavi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj Ki Jai. All glories to the assemble of devotees. All glories to the assemble of devotees. All glories to the assemble of devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pacharani Visheshashuna Bhati Pachadi Shatarina Panchaka Patra Vescha Kripasena Vescha Patinam Bhagavati Vaishnava Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today's reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 12, entitled The Killing of Demon Aghasura, verse 34. So we'll chant. Tatot Krishtak Svakrito Kritarhanam. Pushpaik Saga Apsarascha Nartanaihi. Itai sura vadya dharascha vadya kaihi. Stavaischa viprajaya nishvanair ganaha. Tata trishtak svakrita kritarhanam. Pushpai suga apsarascha nartanaihi. Itai sura vadya darascha vadyakaihi. Stavaischa viprajaya nishvanair ganaha. Tato trishtaksva krita kritarhanam. Pushpaik suga apsarasascha naranaihi. Itaik sura vadya darascha vadyakaihi. Stavaischa viprajaya nishvanair ganaha. Tato trishtaksva krita kritarnaham. Pushpaik saga apsarascha nartanaihi. Itaik sura vadya dharascha vadyakaihi. Stavaischa viprajaya nishvanair ganaha. Trishta svakrita kritarhanam. Pushpaik suga apsarasascha nartanai. Taik sura vadya darascha vadaiki. Sarvacha viprajaya nishvanair ganaha. Anyone else? Thank you for chanting word by word translation. Tata, thereafter, Ati Christaha, everyone becoming very much pleased. Svakartaha, own respective duty. Akrta, executed. Arhanam, in the shape of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pushpaihi, by showering flowers grown in Nanda Kanana from the heavens. Sugaha, the celestial singers. Apsarasahacha, and the celestial dancing girls. Nartanaihi, by dancing. Gitaihi, by singing celestial songs. Suraha, all the demigods. Vadya Dharacha, those who played on musical drums. Vadyakaihi, by playing respectively. Stavaihi cha, and by offering prayers. Vipraha, the Brahmanas. Jaya Nishvanaihi, simply by glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ganaha, everyone. Translation: thereafter, everyone being pleased, the demigods began to shower flowers from Nanda Kanan. The celestial dancing girls began to dance, and the Gandharvas, who are famous for singing, offered songs of prayer. The drummers began to beat their kettle drums, and the Brahmanas offered Vedic hymns. In this way, both in the heavens and on earth, everyone began to perform his own duties, glorifying the Lord. Purport by I.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Everyone has some particular duty. The Shastra has concluded, Nirupitaha, that everyone should glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his own qualifications. If you are a singer, always glorify the Supreme Lord by singing very nicely. If you are a musician, glorify the Supreme Lord by playing musical instruments. Svanusthitasya dharmasya samsidhir hari toshanam. Bhagavatam, canto, first canto, second chapter, verse 13. The perfection of life is to satisfy the personality of Godhead. Therefore, beginning from this earth up to the celestial kingdom, everyone engage in glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The decision of all greatly saintly persons is that whatever qualification one has acquired should be utilized to glorify the Supreme Lord. Idam hi pumshasta pasak srutasya svam svishtasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayaha avichutor tak avibhir nirupito yadutama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Learned sages have definitely concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, austerity, Vedic study, sacrifice, the chanting of hymns, and charity is found in transcendental descriptions of the qualities of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. Bhagavatam 1.5.22. This is the perfection of life. One should be trained how to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead by one's respective qualities. Education, austerity, penance, or in the modern world, business, industry, education, and so on, all should be engaged in glorifying the Lord. Then everyone in the world will be happy. Krishna comes, therefore, to exhibit his transcendental activities so that people may have the chance to glorify him in every respect. To understand how to glorify the Lord is actual research work. It is not that everything should be understood without God. That is condemned. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jatih Shastram Japastapaha Apranasyaiva Dhasya Mandanam Loka Ranjanam. Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya 3.11. Without Bhagavad Bhakti, without glorification of the Supreme Lord, whatever we have is simply a decoration of the dead body. Shmaye Shri Guru Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mana Vishtam Shtapinam Yana Svayam Rupakanam Yantati Samantik. Thank you for assembling today and for letting me speak today. I thought today's verse from this chapter is very, very, very interesting because first of all, we can see how everyone was happy by performing their respective duties or services for the Lord. Some living entities were singing, some were worshipping, some were throwing flowers. And what I found this interesting, very interesting in this verse, and the purport actually, is that Srila Prabhupada reiterates three times in the purport that one should glorify the Supreme Lord by whatever qualification he or she possesses. He specifically says, the last time he mentions it in the purport is that one should be trained how to glorify the Lord by one's respective qualities. And as we know from Bhagavad Gita as well, chapter 9, verse 27, Krishna says, Yat karoshi yad asnasi yad jihosi dasyat yat tapasyasi kantaya matkurushva madat parnam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever austerities you perform, should be done as an offering to Krishna. Do it for Krishna. And in the purport to that verse, Srila Prabhupada mentions that it is everyone's duty to mold life in such a way that one never forgets Krishna in any circumstance. In the beginning of we performing our duty for Krishna, initially it may be perceived as a sacrifice. Sometimes there's some inconvenience, but later on we will be able to, because of doing the sacrifice and working out of this sense of duty, we'll be able to relish more and we get some realization of the knowledge. Krishna describes in chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, verse 33, that all sacrifices should culminate in transcendental knowledge. So whatever we do for Krishna, we eventually get a realization, and we will be working from a higher platform, more spontaneously, more from out of affection for the Lord, rather than from a sense of duty. And the purport to verse 32, chapter 4 Bhagavad Gita, is that Srila Prabhupada mentions different types of sacrifice are mentioned in the Vedas to suit different types of workers, because men are so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept. These sacrifices are so arranged that one can work with either body, with the mind, or with the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. So in this class, I would like to give some hints, make some recommendations for the devotees who live outside of the temple and try to serve Krishna by adopting different types of occupations. I'd like to maybe bring some hints so they can be properly situated in their varna. Varna is their occupation based on their qualities. So by being properly situated in your varna or occupation, you can be quickly elevated to the mode of goodness, material goodness, rather than being downgraded by the lower modes, Rajaguna and Tamaguna. There are three modes, and there may be many tinges of the modes in the beginning, but as we try to work for Krishna with a sense of affection or detachment, we will eventually work more from the platform of goodness, whatever duties we perform. So I'd like to give some hints on how to be properly situated in one's varna. I'd like to use, obviously, some help from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita gives us quite a few in quite a few places talks about the three modes of material nature and how they determine our action, our understanding, our knowledge, and our happiness. I'd like to also use some help from the knowledge of Ayurveda, which also gives us quite a few details about the three types of modes and how they affect individual's mind, and how there are three different types, mental types of three different natures and their combinations, and then how such three different mentalities should be engaged differently in their occupations. So this would be the topic for today's class. I hope you find it useful. We will use the main verses from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verses 42 through 44, which lists different varnas and the respective qualities. There are 4 different varnas, and each one is characterized by different qualities of work, and I will read them to you. There are, let's see, 44, 42. So the first varna is, I will focus on the first 3 actually, just to keep the class a little bit more compact and brief. So the first varna is the Brahmanas. So they have certain qualities which I will list just in a second, and then this is the varna of the Kshatriyas are there, different division, and they exhibit certain characteristics. And also in the 44th verse of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, the Vaishyas and Sudras are listed as well, and they exhibit different qualities still. So we use these as a basis, and just to make a note before we go into the different occupations and qualities of each varna, I'd like to mention that in my understanding, these qualities here of the 4 varnas are listed in the material mode of goodness, which is the highest material mode you can aspire to, and then beyond that, obviously, Bhagavad Gita talks about pure sattva guna, or devotional service, when you transcend the 3 modes. But for the purpose of this lecture, I'd like to just make this note that these are qualities such as of the first varna: peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity. These are in the material mode of goodness. And the Brahmanas work using those qualities. I also would like to make another, make another note that it is very important, Srila Prabhupada mentions, to be properly situated, because if we're trying to take a post that's not suitable to our mental constitution, we will be stuck, and we will feel off balance. We won't be able to make steady progress from whatever mode we were in, whether goodness or passion or ignorance, to the next mode up. So the lowest mode is the mode of ignorance, and there's the mode of passion, Rajaguna, and Sattvaguna, material mode of goodness, and then after that there's the purified mode of goodness, Sudasattva, pure goodness or transcendental goodness. So we should be properly situated. We should not be jumping ahead to take occupations that may not be suitable for us. I'd like to give you an example from my own life, as usual. I remember many years ago, when I came in contact with Krishna consciousness, I met my Guru Maharaj, and I was engaged in many different things for different reasons. I was in school, and I was engaged in sports very actively, and quite a few other engagements. And when I came in contact with Krishna consciousness, I had a liking for the philosophy and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. However, I was not ready to give up my engagements. They were born of my conditioning and my desires. My Guru Maharaj kindly directed me to just keep what you're doing. He said Arka, which is my legal name, but before I was initiated. So he said, you just keep doing what you're doing, but add the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to it. You just start chanting 16 rounds and add Krishna to whatever you're doing. And I was very comfortable with that, and I was able to focus on what I was doing even better, and perform all those duties born of academic obligations and job occupation obligations and family obligations. I was able to perform them even with more of a clearer mind and better emotions, just because I was adding Krishna to my activities. So my activities were not stopped. My activities that normally would be considered conditioned and not necessary for love of God, but it helped me to continue on and serving Krishna in a way that's at my level of consciousness. And then I was able to gradually add following the rules and regulations and chanting 16 rounds. And in this way, everything went smooth most of the time. So I'd like to just, it was like a little mention of how being situated according to my mental proclivities and nature was helpful. My Guru Maharaj didn't say, oh, give this up, and just stay at the temple or just chant and perform devotional service. So he had a very good understanding and perspective, and was able to guide me through difficult times in which I had to balance my material obligations with spiritual life. Having said that, I'd like to go into the three types of natures that people are conditioned by, and this doesn't only refer to devotees. It actually refers even more to those who may not be engaged in any regulated devotional service or any type of spiritual life. But with this information from Bhagavad Gita and Ayurveda, we might be able to help even those who are not directly engaged in devotional service, and they may take advantage of this information, and by benefiting from it, they can maybe take some instructions from us about devotional service, actually. So the first mental nature in Ayurvedic terms is called Vata. It's a combination of air and ether, and this nature very closely resembles the Brahmanical qualities listed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 42. So these individuals are very peaceful, self-controlled, austerity, they're austere, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. And this mentioned natural qualities because even though many times they may not be purified, these individuals tend to exhibit those qualities more than any other qualities. So that's their natural tendency. They come into this world with having these proclivities. They like the pursuit of knowledge, they like to control their mind, they like to be pure, engage in some religious work, they're tolerant. So these are Brahmanical qualities, and These are suitable for occupations such as teachers, healers, scientists, and creative artists. These are very creative and original thinkers, very creative individuals. They can be coordinators, they're good in communications. So they're most of the time engaged in the Department of Education. If they are properly situated, they may not have to perform these occupations, and they may be out of balance, which will be the next point. For these individuals, it is very good to perform sort of repetitive jobs, because their nature is to be hyperactive and attempt to do too many things at once. This is what Ayurveda describes. They will need to perform the occupations that are a little bit more repetitive than for other mentalities, and they need a soothing home and work environment. It's very essential for them. Otherwise, they won't be able to perform their teaching or scientific work properly or with good energy. So they also need adequate rest. They need to rest more than any other mental nature. Even a cat nap in the afternoon is allowed for those types of mental types. A job as a teacher, scientist, or creative artist, for these individuals should not be should be kind of repetitive, and they should avoid traveling a lot. If they travel a lot, it really throws them off balance. Traveling a lot is not recommended for these types of natures. In this way, they will live longer and be happier when they perform their duties for the sake of humanity or for the sake of the Supreme Lord. This will cover the first mental nature, and what is important is that these qualities, as I mentioned, peacefulness, self-control, and austerity, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness, the natural qualities, are listed more in the mode of goodness. So what happens, one may ask a question, what happens to those individuals who are engaged in teaching or scientific pursuits or healing? What happens to them when they are influenced by the mode of passion? Will they be able to perform their occupations properly? What happens to them when they're influenced by the mode of ignorance? Will they be able to perform their occupations properly with good energy and with the ultimate benefit for the students or humanity? So Ayurveda lists the markers, or like warning lights. So you have when you go and drive to the temple or to work, you have traffic control. So you have the green light, go. Yellow light means be careful, better stop, or maybe speed up a little bit so you can get on the other side before the red light comes on. So in Ayurveda gives you warnings. When your mental nature, for example, priestly nature, teacher or healer, when they are influenced by the mode of passion, there's a marker, and there are some qualities to look out for. If you or your friends are engaged in this occupation and they exhibit these qualities more than the goodness qualities, that means there's something off in their practice, something off in their nature, and that needs to be corrected before they go from mode of passion to maybe mode of ignorance even. So the markers are as follows for this type of mentality. When they're influenced by Raja Guna, so you get that orange light warning sign. The qualities of goodness will diminish and be overshadowed by qualities such as indecision, unreliability, hyperactivity, agitation, distraction, and anxiety, and being overly talkative. So these are symptoms of the mode of passion influencing the the brahmanas, or the teachers, educators. When this type of varna, this type of mental nature is influenced by the mode of ignorance, tamoguna, then it's very hard for them to perform their respective duties. And the markers here are red lights, are that they become fearful, dishonest, depressed, self-destructive, addicted to drugs, sexual perversions, mentally disturbed, and suicidal. So these are qualities of tamaguna. And also Bhagavad Gita mentions them in chapter, I believe, 14. And there is also a mention of something similar in chapter 17, different types of fate, how it's divided based on the modes. So some of these qualities are listed in chapter 16 as well, under the category of demonic qualities, I think. So when you go to tamaguna, it is very bad, and then you're useless to the society. You cannot help people. Rajaguna is a warning light. And then obviously the teachers and educators want to stay in the mode of at least material goodness. So the next occupation, or the next varna that Bhagavad Gita lists, is kshatriyas, or administrators, managers, and soldiers. So they exhibit the following qualities that kshatriyas can also exhibit qualities in the material mode of goodness. They can be purified. They can be purified, and when they are at their best, they will display the following qualities. In Ayurveda, they are called Pitta type, water and fire combination. They display the following qualities: heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity and leadership. So you can read a few verses before in Bhagavad Gita, like how Krishna describes different types of action and determination in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So you can get a clue of that even kshatriyas, and the administrative class, they can act in the mode of goodness as well. And that's the goal. So they're not influenced by passion so much, even though water and fire elements are more resemble the Rajaguna quality. So they can still be purified and work in the mode of goodness, even though kshatriyas. These individuals are very practical to a fault even. They are realists. They like to apply all knowledge to real situations. They're very practical. They're obsessed with numbers, percentages, time management, and maximizing profit. To those kind of mental natures, everything deserves to be won. They like to be at the forefront of all activity. They want to be, number one, competitive, very competitive. They invite a lot of stimulation in their lives, and they demand a lot from themselves and others. If they have employees, they're very demanding. They want everyone to be perfect, just like themselves. That's what they're thinking. Ayurveda recommends that their occupation should be a combination of a challenging task, but at no risk of intense competition, which would throw them off their balance of goodness. So it's a good combination of a challenging task, but where you don't have to compete for numbers with other co-managers, or So teaching is also a good occupation for those kshatriyas who have the qualities of resourcefulness, determination, and generosity and leadership, because they're natural leaders. So the teachers are also leaders. So kshatriyas can also adopt the function of teaching. I think you can remember Mahabharata. There are many kshatriyas who were teachers in different ways, well-known kshatriyas. a teaching job is good because for them particularly because it's not an easy task, but at the same time they're not forced to compare themselves with others as far as with the students. They're not competing with their students. They're trying to make them better and communicate that knowledge to them. So this will be a very good occupation for them that will keep them in the mode of goodness. For those individuals, kshatriyas, Pitta types, combination of water and fire, it is very important to separate their occupations from their personal life. They tend to take their work home, and it becomes their life and soul, you know, the way they, and sometimes it's very hard for the family to withstand that kind of behavior. They're just taking their work home, and they forget how to behave like a father or mother. They're just workaholics, you know, they like to work hard. So it is very important to separate their career from their private life. That's a good note. They can be very good administrators and managers, which also require some level of like a teaching skill. You have to have a teaching skill if you want to be a manager or administrator. That's required too. They are good protectors also. They're good for emergency situations. Therefore, they are often become firefighters and policemen and soldiers. However, there's a danger for them when they become too influenced by the mode of passion. The mode of goodness qualities like leadership and heroism, resourcefulness, generosity, they diminish, and these individuals become, Ayurveda lists, very willful, reckless, impulsive, aggressive, controlling, critical, dominating, manipulating, angry, proud, and vain. So that's when the warriors, administrators, and managers become influenced by the mode of passion. That's how they act. So these are the warning lights for those individuals. They need to do something with their occupation, change something, so they do not downgrade even lower to the mode of ignorance, or tamaguna. And when this type of mentality, kshatriya, is influenced by tamaguna, then become very, very hateful, vindictive, violent, destructive, and they can become psychopaths. Drug dealers and criminals, very bad. We don't even want to talk about it, but it's all in chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita. You can read about it too. Very demonic qualities. Any type of mentality, whether Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, if they go, they're influenced predominantly by the mode of ignorance, they become more on the demonic side actually, and they're useless for the society. The next mental nature that's in order here to be mentioned is kapha, a combination of earth and water. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is recommended for them to take care of farming and cow protection and business. That's the natural work for them. These are very special people. Actually, in the Vedic knowledge, in the Vedic culture, these type of people are actually very easy for them to adopt the path of Bhakti Yoga. In the Western world, our society here promotes the other mental natures, more competitive, education. However, in the Vedic culture, the qualities that are listed under this mental nature are very conducive to the performance of Bhakti Yoga. So if this mental type stays in the mode of goodness, it is very easy for them to progress on the path of Bhakti Yoga, so they have an advantage. It's very nice. The qualities that they exhibit are being very calm and peaceful and stable very patient and nurturing and loving, family-oriented. They're very forgiving and loyal. So these are very good qualities. When these mental natures stay in the mode of goodness, their spiritual practice, or bhakti yoga, in our case, is very effective. They move on with they progress very nicely. These qualities are needed. And they can be acquired by all the other mental natures too. Eventually, when you advance, you exhibit all the good qualities of different elements in their purified state. So these people are very calm and nurturing and forgiving and loyal, very special people, and they can be very good administrators. Not because they're all about comparing numbers and very competitive or forcing people to do their job, but because they're very grounded and very stable. So they're not stressed unnecessarily, and they're very supportive of their team. So it is good for them to become also administrators. They can engage themselves in some kind of agricultural business, some kind of a project. They need some frequent change in their occupation. They need some kind of fresh, some kind of a change as far as like if they stay in the office, for example, and they become administrators and they sit in the office for 8 hours, it's not very good for them. They need to make daily changes to their routine. They don't want to be performing repetitive work just like the other mental natures. They need, even if they change, move furniture here and there in their office, it's actually very helpful. Is that funny? Maybe some of us can relate to this example. But even if you move something, change something in the office, and it's a good change for them. It balances them. They are the types that really can get stagnant and slow and sluggish and lethargic when they're influenced by the other modes. So it is very good for them to introduce a little change every day. So everything is kind of new for them. So they're not used to the same routine. Yes, and a job that requires a lot of traveling is very good for them. It balances them because they tend to be overly stable and grounded. They need to move around more. So traveling is good for them, by car, or flying somewhere, or just walking. So that will be good for them to have this kind of job. In this way, they will live happier and healthier and perform their duties properly. Also, some kind of a competitive spirit is actually necessary for them to adopt. They need to be in some sort of competition. It really helps to balance them, not the other types, mental types. When these great individuals, Vaishyas, they are influenced by the mode of passion, then they become very sluggish, and they're excessively attached and greedy and lusty and being overly sentimental, and they seek luxury. So that's these are the signs, warning signs that they're becoming influenced by the mode of passion. And when these individuals get the red light and they become influenced too much by the mode of ignorance, they become apathetic, depressed, dull, and slow in comprehension, insensitive, and they actually can become thieves. They would like to steal. That's the tendency when these individuals of that mental nature become influenced by tamaguna. So these are the three mental natures that Ayurveda describes, and there are also combinations of the three. It's not that the one is simply it's clear cut. It's not that clear cut, but for keeping it simple for the class, I'd like to just mention these three types of natures, and there are combinations of them as well. So I hope these points will be helpful for devotees mostly for those who live outside of the temple and they have to adopt some occupations that may or may not be to their liking or according to their mental natures. It is very important to consider those mental natures when we adopt occupations, because then the occupation may affect how we serve Krishna. Actually, they can throw us off balance to such a point that our devotional service goes down and diminishes. So that would not be very good. So I hope this is helpful. In the future, I hope to give some maybe classes on how nutrition and yoga asana could affect our nature and therefore our bhakti yoga practice. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, I will be very happy to answer.
Yeah, very nice class.
Thank you, Prabhu.
The topic is very also good. That is, of course, everything is best in Srimad Bhagavatam. That we have to discuss about it. There is a sentence that means one has to be trained how to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. On that, I can tell you in Nectar of Devotion, we have studied, from Bhakti Shastri class, under Nityananda Prabhu. There is a nice thing, I think, there is a word, is called, every devotee has to become, if they have some quality, like, because it's called poetic, it's called poetic. So, it is inherited by, devotees from the Lord. Also here it is mentioned that whatever qualities Krishna has, we have that, but in minute particles. That is qualitatively we are saying. So that means, this poetic nature, it is there in Krishna also. So poetic in the sense means how to praise others, how to praise the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is according to, here it is mentioned that Prabhupada has mentioned that according to one's qualification, one can praise to the Lord.
Yes.
So if one is very learned, he can sing the Vedic hymns like that, and who is not learned, they can praise the Lord in different by glorifying his past activities, everything. That's very nice. So that's what I wanted to add here. So how a devotee become poetic. And also in this sense means one devotee praise other devotee also.
Yes, very important.
That means it's not like that only, I have to be stereotyped, only Krishna and nobody else. So like that, we have to praise others for their service.
Sure.
Oh Prabhu, how you are doing? Wow, you are very nice. You do like this service, that service. Like that we have to accomplish. Other devotees also.
Definitely.
So
wow.
That's the real things, the poetic natures. That is what, however, this devotee himself doesn't take credit like, Lord Chaitanya in Sikhyastaka. He said that, na kavitam. That verse, there is, I don't want any praises from, I don't want any followers, I don't want anything. That very nice. So that means we should not be puffed up. That means somebody is praising me then. So, in other words, also it is mentioned in Nectar of Devotion that if you praise the Lord, or if you praise a devotee of the pure devotee of the Lord, your sin is eradicated. That means you will be purified by praising the Lord, by praising the devotee, pure devotee of the Lord. So that's what, when Airendra Prabhu left his body in Vrindavan, in India, so one Maharaj, I remember somebody was praising like this, he was quoting this, that how by praising a devotee, one's own, sinful activities, everything is finished, that means he is purified.
For sure, Prabhu. It's so important. Thank you for your comment. Like, instead of finding like negative things like praise someone, praise them, and this will help your own purification. Wow. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your class. I wasn't going to make this comment until Karuna Nidhi made the very nice comment of being poetic and praising others. In the 7th canto, chapter 5, verse 12, Prabhupada, says the same thing what Karuna Nidhi Prabhu says. The difference between spiritual competition and material competition is that material competition means how we could glorify ourselves, and spiritual competition means how we could glorify others.
Wow.
And one of my models, it's explained in many pastimes in the Bhagavatam, the motto I take from the Bhagavatam is that if we try our best, then Krishna will help us. If we try to be the best, then Krishna will humble us. Hanuman tried to be the best, and the squirrel tried his best. So trying our best means how we could glorify others also. Trying to be the best, that's obvious, how we could glorify ourselves. And even in the material world, we see that when people glorify others, it's with some motivation.
Exactly, right?
So the glorification, Hiranyakashipu glorified Lord Brahma with the motive of glorifying himself.
Right.
He didn't have the power, Brahma gave him the power, then he started glorifying himself. So in this material world, we shouldn't be so satisfied with glorification, because we have to ask ourselves, why are you glorifying me?
Right.
So we should be content in our own character and always glorify people without expecting anything in return.
Exactly.
That's pure bhakti.
Right.
And if we don't, we're going to hear from Krishna. He'll humble us. We'll get a reaction.
For sure.
No doubt.
Right.
Thank you for your class. I only want to bring that point up since Karuna Nidhi, but you have so many wonderful points in your class, and I could point out so many, but the one thing that really stuck with me that I'm definitely going to use with others, I'm not sure if you got it from somebody or whether Krishna inspired it with you, but I think the analogy of the green light, yellow light, and red light is such a profound analogy to explain the 3 modes, because green light means to go. And when we're in the mode of goodness, we make steady progress.
Right.
Yellow light means slow down. When we're in the mode of passion, we may make progress, but it's very slow. The mode of ignorance means you make no progress at all. That's what the red light means. Stop. You make no progress whatsoever. And so that's a very beautiful analogy, and that came to mind, and I'll definitely share that with others. And so my main point in the question is related to this verse in your whole class about having abilities. One of your main topics you always discuss generally in your classes, you didn't mention it too much today, but generally speaking, you love exercise, you love martial arts, you love so many, this is like your nature, you love these things. And last week or a couple of weeks ago, you were essentially mentioning that you were watching one of your favorite fighters fight. He lost, and because he lost, you were unpleasant for your friends, your family, etc. So, and you were essentially saying that your wife said, my dear Prabhu, you have strength on the outside. However, you need to work on your strength on the inside. This goes back to my original point of this verse, is that I remember one Mataji Pujari, few years ago, she asked me, I'm a Pujari, but I haven't found my talent. In this verse, Prabhupada mentions singing, many different talents, abilities. And I remember she told me, you have your niche, your ability that Krishna's giving, you know what it is, which is writing. I love to write. But she says, I don't have any ability, I don't have any talent. And I don't know what I said back to her then, but one thing I learned from the scriptures is that the scriptures don't really focus on your ability. They focus on your responsibility. There's a quote that says, responsibility, or the ability to choose your response, is about making a conscious action, not an unconscious reaction.
Wow.
And I'll relate this to 2 pastimes. You know Samson in the Holy Bible?
Sure.
Samson, you could relate to that. He had the Guinness Book of World Records, the most talented and strongest person in the world. But how did he fall down? He had antagonists, the Philistine leaders. So the Philistine leaders figured out, we can't defeat Samson. How are we going to defeat them? So they thought, let us hire a beautiful woman, Delilah, and then she'll tell us the source of his strength. So they hired Delilah. She found out the source of his strength, which was his hair. She told the Philistines, they cut off his hair, and he lost his strength. And so Samson, he had an incredible ability, but because he didn't have responsibility, he lost his strength. On the flip side of the coin, Dasa, he didn't have a Guinness Book of World Records for World's Strongest Man. And somebody also tried to seduce him with a prostitute. But because he was focused not on his ability, but his responsibility, then, in other words, you know the passage I heard, I don't have to explain this to you, but by contrast, the reason I like to contrast these stories is because although Samson had strength on the outside, but because he didn't have strength on the inside, it led to his degradation. Right. On the flip side of the coin, although Dasa didn't have strength on the outside, but because he had strength on the outside, it led to his elevation. So if I had to ask a question, I think a lot of times devotees may feel I have no talent, I have no abilities. Or when we do have abilities, some singing, some speaking, still the mode of passion enters where we try to become the best singer, the best whatever. Or if we don't have an ability, if we feel we have no talent, we try to drag others down because they're enjoying. Right. So either way, we have no ability, or we do have ability. Either side, we're not focusing on our responsibility. Wow. So what are some steps we can move forward to, steps we could take to move forward to be content in our Krishna consciousness wherever we are, whether we have abilities or we're not, because we see if we don't, then we're gonna, our so-called ability is gonna be taken away in the end. Samson, his ability was taken away. Politicians, their money, their fame, taken away. So it doesn't matter whether you have talent, you don't have talent. In the end, if you don't focus on your responsibility, it's going to be taken away. So maybe you could expand on some points. I don't know if I really articulated my question pretty well, but those are some points I appreciated from the scriptures. Maybe you could expand on some of those points.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. These are very, very nice comments, and I like that. Very profound statements about the responsibility and just ability and versus responsibility. Wow. Well, it is, maybe I'll just mention 2 points, that some devotees feel like they have no talent for, so they feel discouraged, and maybe they have a tendency to maybe criticize other devotees who may be at the forefront of activity. So that's like a very basic conditioned soul's reaction. In material life, the same thing is outside. Those who are not devotees, they don't have any special abilities. They try to criticize others, and they're looking. I have a friend who never found anything that he really likes to do and devote his life to it. So he's not so happy. He was not able to find his dream job or his perfect spouse, and so our reaction will depend on which mode of nature we cultivate, and if you chant the holy name, the mode of goodness will be permeate your life. If you focus on chanting, the mode of goodness will come into your life more and more, and once you're in the mode of goodness, you can you can see many more things in yourself and others, and you will be able to find those talents. You'll be able to find things for yourself, and you'll be able to glorify others and notice good things in others. So the mode of goodness, like a byproduct of chanting and doing bhakti yoga, out of a sense of duty, is that eventually, sooner or later, the mode of goodness will give us a clearer perception of things within our consciousness and the consciousness of others, and you'll be more able to perceive the inspiration from the heart and you'll be easier for you to follow the instructions of Prabhupada or your guru. So there's no substitute for like attentive chanting, and from the attentive chanting, the mode of goodness will also come. And then the best thing that comes from chanting is obviously, you know, service to Krishna and love of Krishna. But on the side, you know, as a byproduct, the mode of goodness will allow us to see and discover your talents, and see more things, good things in others. So I think that's the main thing I wanted to comment on. Maybe there was something else, but I think it's already gone from my mind. Yeah, so hope this is helpful. Any other questions? Anything? Srila Prabhupada. Oh, you have one? Jitendra Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada said, you know, the world is overflowing with fools and rascals. So don't become discouraged if people don't become Krishna consciousness, because it's a psychological war zone out here. You know, the atmosphere is so charged with, Prabhupada uses the word nescience, that just due to a little disagreement, there's a huge battle, because people are so, they're so absorbed in the bodily conception of life, and so much foolishness, it's very difficult.
Yes.
So we shouldn't become discouraged, but just try to go on. But thanks for bringing up a lot of those little points that I haven't heard in a long time, Prabhu.
No problem. I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for your comment, Jitendra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.